Start.
Recording.
Did Dave say he wasn't gonna make it? Did he
Oh, no,
mention?
doesn't
you?
want
Okay, and he's not on Zoom?
it. I don't think he can, he's got a hard time with his computer down there.
Okay. No worries.
Just talk to him this.
We'll try to survive without him. Okay, my cell phone says that it's 7:03, so we'll call the meeting to order. And the record will show that 5 of us are here. Dave is not here, he's in Florida. So next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. That's from December 16. I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
That motion?
So Rob Word has the motion. Is there a second? And Steve has the second. Any changes to those minutes? Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? All right, so this carries 5-0. Correspondence. Finance Director's memo of resignation. We certainly appreciate your service to the town of Thompson, and we wish you the very best in your future endeavors.
Very much. Been a great 7.5 years. I'm gonna miss you guys all. Looking forward to something different.
You will be missed, for sure. You'll be missed. And then there's town-sponsored Freedom of Information training for boards, commissions. Did everybody get a chance to see that? Okay. And then there's CCM webinar, Municipal Budgeting 101, Saturday, January 22nd from 9 to 10:30 a.m. I'm hoping everybody got a chance to see that as well. Okay, great.
Just as a comment on those, there was a class earlier this month, had those two subjects and a couple of others, I think, if I recall. Good class, well worth it if you haven't taken the class. It was a Zoom type class. You can learn a lot. If you haven't gone to one before, I'd suggest trying it out. Not a big deal to attend.
Good to know. Thank you. Thank you. Is there any other correspondence that we,
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I forwarded the grand list information to Paul the assessor on Wednesday. And I sent out the financial reports yesterday. This afternoon, sorry for the late notice, and we don't have to discuss it tonight if you don't wish, I have promised you guys fixed asset list and all of the reconciliations were done. There's a lot of work done on that here, so we can do it tonight if you wish. If not, you guys can follow up with that.
so that's grand list from the assessor
Correct.
and fixed asset list from the finance director, and then finance director's report. And so I just repeated that because I'm closer to the microphone, because I know that Dottie is trying to keep track of what people are saying from Zoom. Any other correspondence that is not here that should be included here? Any other correspondence? Okay. Move on to citizens' comments. Is there any citizen who has a comment at this time? Any citizen who has a comment at this time?
Yes,
Great. And for the record, could you please state your name and address?
Sally White, 308 East Thompson Road.
Thank you, Sally. Go ahead.
I am unable to hear the Director of Finance. Perhaps being close to the microphone would help.
Yeah, and when she gives her her official report to the Board of Finance, I'll have her pull her chair forward.
Sounds like
Thank you.
There's one other item of correspondence.
Okay.
I forwarded you the information on the auction of the DPW.
Any other citizens' comments? Either in person or by Zoom? Okay, thank you, everyone. We'll move on to Selectmen's update. First Selectman, Amy Sanage. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I have a few quick updates. Exciting news came about 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. Tira, our Director of Planning and Development, had applied for a grant for under the Municipal Brownfield Grant Program. a $2 million grant, and we were awarded that grant. It's in partnership with the town and John Gumpert of River Mill Redevelopment. So they will begin the cleanup of the 929 Riverside Drive site starting this spring/summer. So it'll be exciting to at least see something underway there. Then yesterday, I received a call personally from Joe Courtney. This is my first time that I've ever gotten a call from him. And he wanted to inform me of the following. And I got this from his staffer after my call, so I'll just read the correspondence from her. I am writing in follow-up to Congressman Courtney's call with you today. As he shared, the Army Corps of Engineers released their work plan for the projects that will be funded by the recently passed IIJA, which was the infrastructure bill. The Army Corps of Engineers has allocated $800,000 for West Thompson Lake debris cleanup, campground electric site modernization, and paving of the boat ramp parking lot and campground access road. Army Corps of Engineers navigation team will be working on all matters that affect this project. They will remain in communication with you and my office with schedules once they are ready. So any money coming to Thompson is exciting, and certainly West Thompson Lake is a gem to this area and to our townspeople. So that was exciting news. Back in 2019, we were awarded a grant for the sidewalk replacement project from Route 200 to Rawson Ave. We are still waiting for final approval to move towards bid process. Every time we're close to get ready to advertise for bids, the state of Connecticut comes back with more things they need. So it jumps to the next office, and there just is all these layers of complication. But we feel pretty strongly that we'll be going out to bid by March or April, hopefully to get on someone's schedule for summer work. Board of Selectmen budget workshops, I presented the calendar to my fellow selectmen. They were pretty much open for the month of February, so I am leaning towards Board of Selectmen budget workshops on February 7th, 9th, 14th, 16th, and the 22nd is going to be exclusively for the fire departments. I have some snow dates scheduled in. These will all be virtual. We will be beginning them at 3 p.m. during each session, and they will run until 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Hoping to get that budget ready to go for the town. Lastly, last night, a few of us who I had appointed, Rob Werge, myself, Jamie Sine, two members of the former Thompson EMS staff, and Suzanne met at the municipal complex in Putnam, met with Putnam EMS. It was a favorable meeting. And that's in regard to potentially negotiating a contract to work together towards an ambulance service. So it was positive. They were agreeable to all of our requests. And yeah, so we're supposed to meet next week again on Wednesday. So hoping to have more updates for the board.
There's nothing about price yet.
We had received a from the consultant some projections. I don't think he's completed that draft. It was a draft copy. If I can get a copy from him that I can share publicly, I'm going to try to do that, because initially it was a draft copy that he didn't want. So, but yeah,
So as soon as you can get that to us, so we know where we're.
absolutely, absolutely.
Share the numbers.
I guess we
I
could.
think what was drafted about it was he wanted some feedback and have an opportunity to refine it. I'm okay sharing the numbers if you are.
If I remember off the top of my head, I don't have it. Okay.
I think we did a few different models, and he was showing kind of a standalone model of each town, and then what the model may look like if it's a combination. The standalone is more expensive because you're not leveraging as much of the use of the assets. And it was about $270 a year to do it as a standalone, each town. So pretty expensive. And
270 each or 270 combined?
270 each,
That was standalone though.
standalone. Which is still significantly better than the current, and I know the current situation we're in is not a long-term anyway. And then the joint was about 190 per town.
Each.
And I also add, there's some puts and takes that we're not 100% sure on in terms of benefits, and sometimes some of the fringe benefits and other things are paid outside of that umbrella, right? Like we currently were prior to community dissolving. And the other important piece is that they very strongly believe in a lease and replace model on assets, particularly on the trucks, on the ambulance trucks. So it wouldn't be that number, and then every so often we got to think about this big influx of capital to buy a vehicle. That would include the yearly rollover.
Those are capital costs.
In a sense, but they like to do it through the lease model primarily so that they don't have an aging fleet. You don't you tend to allow, let's wait one more year, and then you're at a point where you're really in a jam.
And correct me if I'm wrong, this is Amy St. Ange again. It's a 24/7 service with a peak crew during peak times, peak hours that will be constantly monitored to make sure that we're hitting the right times, to make sure that a second crew is available if both of the two other crews are out.
That's a great point, Amy. So that would be a 24/7 team in the Putnam geography, 24/7 team in the Thompson geography. And then during peak hours, there would be a team that could float, if you will, go where the need is during that time, rather than each independent town having to cover that peak area.
Right.
One team would cover the combined peak time. So pretty good model. I think it's a pretty decent model.
Let me ask you this question, man. They're going crazy, but I would like to know if they're in the Putnam area, as opposed to, right, that where they're gonna be centered
No, they'll be centered in Thompson.
in Thompson. So if there's a problem in Thompson, it shouldn't take no longer than what it did before when we had somebody here. I think that's my thing, that they're over here and we're over here, I think we're gonna wait for
Former. It's the former. It's not in the exact same location where it was a community, but it's centralized
it.
enough.
It's centralized to be here, that they,
But just some clarification, you said it was 270 if we were individual. It was 190 if we were together?
190 each.
190 each. Okay, that's what I didn't know how that was possible at first when I first started. All right.
We can discuss during our workshops how we want to handle that from the budget cycle. I would say those are consultants' projections.
Yeah.
So
And then those were numbers we thought we could potentially use if nothing is settled, which likely it won't be when we're really full on into budget.
those,
so don't take that as a quote, please.
That's right.
No,
Yep.
No, I just didn't understand.
Yeah,
When you first said
but
it, you
they're
know,
good
like-
numbers. It's something to start with. to work on.
Ballpark.
that's per year, what you're saying, right? Still less than what we're paying now.
Right, well, correct, under the emergency.
Any other questions, comments about the first selectman's report? Go
I
ahead.
had a question for the first selectman. Great news on the brownfield grant.
Yes.
Can you give us a rough idea on what that, I know what $2 million means, but what does it mean with respect to the work that has to be done? Is that enough to cover all of it, some of it?
I
a
think it's
little bit
about
of it?
half,
It's about half.
if I'm
And-
correct.
Okay.
So the developer is in partnership. That's where it becomes a partnership, that he's contributing as well on the cleanup.
Well, that's really, really great news for the town.
Yeah.
Get that project going. That was all I had.
Anything else? Any other questions, comments, discussion on the first selectman's report? Okay, thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to school district update, and that is Melinda Smith, who I know is joining us by Zoom. Welcome, Melinda.
Can you hear me, Aaron?
We can.
Okay, great. Happy New Year, happy 2022 to everyone. My enrollment report for the month of January, we have 930 students. That is no change from last month. However, the number of students at Mary R. Fisher Elementary School increased by 5 for a total number of 416 students. At middle school, we had a reduction of 4 students for a total of 295. and at the high school, a reduction of 1 student for a total of 219. So the overall number didn't change. However, we did have some fluctuation between schools. We currently have 27 special education students outplaced. That is an increase of 2 students from the previous report. We did return from holiday break. COVID cases surging in Thompson Public Schools among our students, faculty, and staff. I need to recognize all of the employees at Thompson Public Schools who have chipped in to keep our schools open, and for the bus drivers at DADCO for bringing our children into school safely. Everybody has chipped in and gone above and beyond for operating our schools. We've recently submitted a grant for $50,000 as a farm to school expansion grant. As you recall, we had received around $81,000 pre-pandemic for the aquaponics system that we have at the school. And this grant is to expand the curriculum to integrate the aquaponic farm into other courses up at the high school and middle school. So we're keeping our fingers crossed on that one. And we're also in the process of implementing a local prevention council grant for drug use and vape prevention. Beauty and the Beast rehearsals continue. We have 50 students that are participating in that play, and all of our athletic programs for winter sports are now running. And we're excited about that because last year, as you can remember, we had limited athletic programs running. So all of our programs are running. The members of the Board of Education started their budget workshops last week. I want to thank Steve Herbert for coming to the first session. Next Monday is the presentation made by our directors, and I would like to extend an invitation to the members of the Board of Finance to attend that session. The reason for that is our special education director is going to be doing a presentation on the special ed budget, and that is a primary budget driver for Thompson Public Schools, obviously along with healthcare, fuel, transportation, and capital. And some of the capital projects that weren't added to the BOE budget, but we hope to push to the town budget like we did last year. Those capital improvements will be explained in detail by Bill Birch. So extending an invitation, and I will have Danielle tomorrow send out the link in case anyone's interested in attending that workshop. Otherwise, thank you all.
Questions for the superintendent?
So, your question, just a comment. They've started their budget process, as Melinda mentioned. I urge everybody here to attend. It's not hard to do. You can do it via Zoom. We're going to pass on their budget, which is, what, 17, 18, $19 million, biggest chunk of our spending. The more we know about it, the better off we'll be. So, suggestion for that.
Any other questions, comments, discussion on the superintendent's report? Anything? Anyone? Thank you, Melinda.
Welcome.
So we'll move on to financial report from Finance Director Orla McKiernan Raftery. I believe this is her last official report.
I'll move on to this chair.
Yeah, let's see. Go ahead and speak and let's see if,
That's what I'm gonna try. So can everybody hear me? Good.
Shaking.
everyone in
Just a
Zoom.
thumbs up from Melinda, so that's
Okay.
good news. Okay, thank you. So the first thing I'm gonna report on is the first 6 months of the year. So as the first 6 months of the year, our collections are just under 13 million for property taxes. We're higher by 1.2 on current taxes, prior year, and interest liens are also higher than prior years. We did get a couple of grants in December. We got our property tax exemption grants, the disability exemption, the veterans, and I'm happy to say we also got 23,568, which was from our distressed municipalities, and that was as a result of the work that Paul did. Paul, our assessor, is present. Maybe if you want to elaborate on that, Paul. And not Megan from memory.
So we were able to request reimbursement from the state for Nutmeg container. they have an exemption through the Department of Economic Development, and which lowers their assessment on our grand list. In exchange for that assessment reduction, we were able to apply to the state for the reimbursement of those lost revenues.
Thank you.
Is this something, excuse me, is this something new that we not maybe done in the past and should have kind of thing, or?
Correct. So this was the.
And not casting aspersions on prior incumbents, just.
Right, yeah, this was something that came up last year, so this was the first year that we applied for it. It's actually a 5-year exemption for a nutmeg container, so we will continue to apply. And as long as the state has the funds for that 5-year period, we'll get the.
Sorry to interrupt.
So that's it. And on our local revenue, we're at 863, we're $50,000, a little bit less than $50,000 higher. I am leaving that information in relation to 1395 Riverside Drive, where we collected $30,000 of unbudgeted income. On the expenses side of things, we've committed 7.77, and I did provide a detailed backup for each of the departments. If anybody has any specific questions on any of the departments, you're welcome to ask them now, or if you have any questions afterwards, you're welcome to email me. On the balance sheet, our cash decreased by 219. Compared to December last year, we're a little bit higher by 1.02 million, and we currently have no changes to the surplus. Now that's it on the 6 months. So our estimates are based on where we are with regards to our estimate as of June 30th, 2021. Any questions on the finance report before I move on to something else? Okay, so
Sorry,
Go ahead.
I had a
Go ahead.
question, maybe more for Paul.
go ahead.
But are there other opportunities in addition to nutmeg that you might be exploring in terms of the recapture? And the reason I asked the question is when I personally moved business to Putnam, they approached me with a similar situation. So I'm just thinking that it's great that you got the 23 recoup, but is there a bigger, broader looking for that?
So I have been looking at every possible venue to recoup any losses. The state does mandate a lot of exemptions that we have to apply with. So I'm always looking to read the statutes a little closer to see what other revenues that we can collect from all of these exemptions that are out there. So it's nothing specific right now, because in this case with the nutmeg, it's an exemption that runs through the Department of Economic. So it gets granted, the exemption gets granted from the state, but we have to do the assessment. So when we get that notification, then the process that we have to get to apply for.
Thank you.
Off on that sort of, I think, leading to a bit about you were asking, are these things that we could offer potential companies to stay? Hey, if you stay, we can.
So this one specific, we do have those types of, there are those exemptions available as well. This one specifically is for any new business. So a business that's potentially moving in and rehabbing an existing building, or a new business moving in that's building a new building. That's what this one specifically is for. But there are lots of incentives out there, a lot of incentives.
Oh, go ahead, Ron.
Broadband. Yeah, no, most of them are manufacturing, right? When they do those kind of exemptions.
This one specifically is not limited to manufacturing. It's any kind of commercial redevelopment. So it lends itself, this program lends itself to be more of a manufacturing type exemption, but it can be for any kind of redevelopment, commercial.
So it could take a building that was idle, right? Like if it's idle for like more than a year, I think, is a time period, or building new.
But it's good because we still have that, the other one that had all the cars with a what was it? Was it Rite Aid or whatever it was over on 171?
Mark, right? Extra Mart, I think.
An
Extra Mart.
Mart.
Yeah, that's a big building that's been empty a while.
Yeah.
That's maybe something could come into. Just a thought.
This is an exemption then.
That's a good incentive, you know, to tell them.
That's right.
So that's the finance report. So a couple of other things going on. So budget season's coming up. Not going to be part of your budget season this year, which feels very strange, but Amy and I had been working on trying to make some changes to the structure of how we produce our budget every year. You know, we've been using the Excel spreadsheets, which are really difficult and error driven. So we were able to secure funding through the COVID CARES money that we received last year to enable us to set up a budget software package, which we're in the process of implementing. So your budget this year is all going to be web-based. It's going to be very interactive. It works directly with our accounting system, and it's a product called ClearGov. There are a number of municipalities that use it in Connecticut and in different places around the country, and the company is based here in New England. I have been looking at this company for quite a few years. They offer some additional products, but the products that we're working with right now are the operating budget, which will involve all of the different department heads entering their budgets into the system. We've got 5 years of historical data within the system. And from there, we'll be able to produce a budget. Because it's web-based, whether it's me or whether it's somebody in my position or whether somebody else will be responsible in your meetings for making those necessary changes. And it's also going to be something that you'll be able to access yourself from home. So as I say, it's very interactive. It's a wonderful product. I'm so happy that you guys are going to be moving on to this and away from the Excel spreadsheets. And the bottom line budget itself, there's a digital version and there's a printable version, and they both look so professional. It's going to make such a big difference to us. So I'm really glad. As I say, I'm sorry I'm not going to be part of it, but I'm really glad that we're actually moving into this. So I wanted to give you the heads up with regards to that. I'm going to be working closely with Amy over the next week. I did have a really good meeting today, and I'll have a trial tomorrow morning to play with. I'll have a test to play with over the weekend. So that's really good news. They've done a really good job of getting us up and running. On the fixed assets, I did share with you, I was flicking through pages and I remembered that I had promised you guys that I would provide you with the bottom line fixed asset schedule where we were. Now it's a number of different pages, but so the report is, and I know you probably didn't get a chance to review it, but the report is a summary of where we are and how it'll appear in the audit report. But the core is a list of every active asset that we have on the books right now. And that's really that's the part that we spent the most time at. There's lots of other documents that we can provide to you, but this is really the live document that's going to be growing and depleting as the years go along. The current package we use for our fixed assets is within the Munis package. I don't like it. I don't think a lot of people do. And I had conversations with our auditors. They've given us a recommendation of something that might work better. And it actually, it integrates directly with Munis. So I think that's a conversation that you guys can have as you go through the process, and maybe Amy can have with whoever ends up replacing me. But I think it's something that is worthwhile talking to. Our auditors are the ones who have recommended, and they have a lot of experience with this package. So this is really hard to work with. All of the reports that come out of the software have to be reformatted and manipulated, and it takes a huge amount of time. So hence, this whole process, somebody asked me today how the audit was going. I can tell you, this has been the biggest challenge with the audit this year. And like everything, the fixed assets is way down the priority list. But I'm really, really glad that it came up as a question, because now we have a proper list. It's updated, it's current, and it's correct. So I'm not saying it wasn't correct, but we're a cash basis organization. Fixed assets and how we depreciate our assets is really down to the audit report. It's not something that's part of our day-to-day operation. But at the same time, it's important that we know what we have on our books So if you have any questions, let me know. And if you want any additional information, I will provide that to you also. That's the fixed assets. There are a number of different things here on my list.
I have a few comments on
Go
that,
ahead.
if we may, because this one's been near and dear to me, so
Oh, Me
thank
too.
you. Thank you for pulling it together. And it may be more for your replacement, but I think we should, as a group, and we could talk about it separately if we want to put it on the agenda, but I think this is something that we should look to peg a yearly update on.
Absolutely.
It's one thing to get it fresh, and it's another thing for it to get stale.
Mhm.
Layer in the new assets and then take off the assets that we're disposing of. We've disposed of some assets already that Rich had sold.
Yes, Rich.
And I don't know years prior how much of that has happened, but this is a lot of the, it's a big portion of our budget, a big portion of the town's money that goes into these assets. And some of them, like the Turtle Hut School's been around for 100 years. I saw your list. That's been, but other things like computers don't last that long. So those should be shed to keep it fresh and to keep it accurate. Otherwise someone will be doing what you did again in 5 years from now.
Right. Right.
Well, on our IT list, if you see, the earliest asset was 2016. So
Wow.
we've been able to dispose and retire everything before that within the IT line.
And the other thing that I think would be helpful, and there's a lot of data here, but maybe we have the acquisition cost, but maybe one other column that says either the net value. I know you're not depreciating it like
It's actually available within that report. And that's why I was actually going to ask you guys, I can share with you the Excel spreadsheet, which has all of those extra columns. I was just trying to give you guys as much as just, so you could take
This is great.
a quick look.
Yeah, and this was great. That helps us kind of understand in terms of, buildings appreciate often and trucks and computers don't. So it'll give us a kind of a check on where we stand year over year and kind of the net value.
That's when it's book value, as opposed to, I assume the security.
Yeah, it could be book value, it could be fair market, some other indicator.
Fair market sounds more useful, because the school, as you mentioned, is off the books, book value, I'm sure, but obviously it's not a bummer.
I think either one would work for us directionally, but something to
But
that
it's
effect.
worthwhile reading, and it's definitely, if you look, you'll see, because it's sorted, what I provided to you is a PDF, which is sorted based on the classifications, whether it's land, buildings, improvement, machinery, equipment, vehicles. If you wish, I can share with you the Excel spreadsheet, and if you're that way inclined and you love playing with spreadsheets, because I know I do, then you can sort it the way and you can find the data that you really want in there. But the bottom line is we do have $64 million worth of active assets in the system. And all of the different department heads and all of the different people, both in the school and the town, have helped us get to this. I'm very grateful to them. Each person spent a lot of time going through very extensive asset lists to determine whether they still have them, whether they got rid of them, or whether they were just retired. So,
Like Robin said, if we keep, if every year they sent out a memo asking for an update of every department, it would be a lot easiar to,
well, usually
keep
what
up.
I will do is, in the past, what I would do is reach out to everybody and say, okay, what assets did you purchase this year? Our threshold is $5,000 or higher. If you purchased a group of different assets, but cumulatively, it was $5,000 or higher, that's an asset that we're going to record. And that information would typically always come to me. I would get it from, the school, from the IT department of the school. I would get it from Rich. I would get it from library, from the building here, from Bill Birch at the school, all of the different entities involved. But this was the first year where we really went back to them and said, okay, can you please take a list of everything we have on those books? And what do you not have anymore and why? It was fortunate, we had all the buses on the list. Now, thankfully, we had the bus sale was only a couple of years ago. So I still had all the data with regards to the breakdown. We received $291,000 for those buses, but we also had a value for every bus because that information was provided to me at the time. So at least I was able to record the disposal sale correctly. But with regards to other assets and other pieces of equipment that that was really hard.
So what ties out to the balance sheet then? Because you would have caught 300,000 on the balance sheet.
No, the money was recorded as income on the balance sheet. This is a separate thing within Munis. This is not part of the operating budget. Fixed assets is a completely separate
Yeah,
fund
I
within.
understand it's different, but you do pull together a balance sheet, which should include the fixed assets.
Only
A value.
only for auditing purposes. Those adjustments are not done by me within Munis, they're done by the auditors. I'll generate all this information and they'll make the entry. But we did record the income, we just didn't record it necessarily as disposal of assets income. But it was recorded. In fact, you may remember, I'm not sure whether you were here at the time, Rob, but we did say, we sold them, we went into miscellaneous income, we put them into a transfer fund, just in case we were ever in a position where we had to start buying buses again. I think it was there for maybe one fiscal year, then we used that 291,000 to balance the budget the following year, or at least a year or two after that. Okay. So that's it on the fixed assets. One of the other things I did share with you, I'm sorry, I forgot about this correspondence, Aaron, was the amortization schedule for the Marianapolis loan. Now, Dave was the one who was expressing an interest in discussing it. Just if you want to bring it up at a later stage when Dave is here, that spreadsheet should be able to provide you where we stand right now, and what's left of that loan. I think I did share with you, we pay it every October, we build a school, they pay us back immediately. There's never a delay. So we report to their auditors every year what the balance is. That's that grand list. So as I say, I shared it with you. Paul is here in case you have any questions with regards to the grand list. If you want to spend some time discussing with Paul his numbers, I just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. The last thing is the audit. So we are pretty much done with the audit. This was the biggest part of it. There's a couple of small items. We filed an extension through the end of January. I reached out to the auditors today. I didn't hear back. As I was mentioning to Amy today, I haven't heard back from them since Monday. So I'm not sure where we stand with regards to getting those final bits done. But my absolute goal is to get that audit done before I leave. My last date is scheduled to be February 2nd. The goal would be that they will report during your February board meeting. I will attend that meeting, so any questions that may come up, I can certainly provide them to you and answer them to you for when Chris is doing his presentation. I had some challenges over the Christmas break and trying to get into various different things, but I don't really need to go into those now. But I think that's pretty much it. Do you guys have any questions for me with regards to anything that we just went
Where
through?
do we land relative to the cost of the budget? The cost of the audit,
So
budget versus actual?
well, it's a contracted amount. So there's no additional hours that we've been billed. What we've been billed so far is per the contract. So our cost is $29,000 for the town side, and we're most likely going to be billed $29,000. So this is no additional hours. I would like to thank you all. I've been here since 2014. I still can't believe that this is my last Board of Finance meeting. It's been great. I've learned so much. I've got to know so many people in this town. I think I know more people than my in-laws do, and they've been living here since 1970. But it's been great. I'm fortunate that I decided to start looking for something at this different stage of my life, and I'm looking forward to the challenge of something different. I'm not looking forward to the commute, but I guess I'll get used to it. I think I was spoiled for the last many years with my 5-minute commute to work every day. But I'd like to thank everybody here, both the town and the Board of Finance. You guys have been great to work with. It's been really interesting, really interesting, and it's going to be very strange not to be part of this budget process this year after being for many years. But I'll be at another budget meeting. I have shared with Amy, because of the schedule of my budget meetings down in Norwich, it's most likely going to be different nights. So if there's any stages where you guys want me to join the meeting, I'm happy to do so. And I'm always here to answer questions. With regards to my replacement, Amy may have shared with you already, we're looking to hire somebody on a temporary basis. We had a nice conversation with somebody today. We have a couple of other leads that we're looking into, but what we're trying to do is hire somebody on a temporary basis that can come, be both in the office and potentially be remote if needed, just to get through this budget process, continue with the month-end process, and we'll go from there. And as things come up, if other people are needed, then Amy will know where to go from there. So thank you, guys.
Questions, comments, discussion? Go ahead.
I had two. One, I floated past Amy a few days ago. Are any of the other municipalities on a different,
No.
they're not, they're all in the
No, we're
same
all in
cycle?
July, June. Yeah, it's pretty much across the state.
I kind of thought that, but there was an outside chance that maybe someone's on a 6-month offset.
No, that would be
And we could find someone that's looking to do some budgets, right? And then the second was, have either of you thought about the company that's New England based that we're installing their software? Would they happen to have anyone?
Oh, ClearGov?
I didn't get the name of the company.
ClearGov. the budget
ClearGov?
cover- No, but we have been in touch with our auditing firm, and one or two other accounting firms. Now, our existing auditing firm would not be able to help us because it would be a conflict, but they do have some leads with regards to people that might potentially work with us.
Well, maybe worth asking them. I know they're not in the business, but they're in the business of selling to people that are in the
That's true.
business. So they may have a network or resources too. And then you get someone that also knows the software, which is kind of the added.
We are
Just some
trying-
things to think about.
That's true. We are true. Ideally, we could get somebody who's retired, a retired finance director who's looking to work for a couple of months. I know over the years, I've heard of people like that. It just so happens none of them are available right now that we've come across. So it might be just bad timing, but hopefully, but yes, that's definitely worth looking into.
Also, CCM has a resource to, yeah, use that already probably.
Yeah, well, I've been in touch with CCM, and we have it posted on the Government Financial Officers Association site. We have it on Indeed. Michelle posted on Indeed for us.
Nothing, I think that was that. Except for reaching out to directly to accounting firms
Yes. You know, the
that
thought-
deal with municipalities.
Exactly. The thought was if we had a smaller financial firm that focuses on small towns, something similar to our own auditing firm, Thinking and Associates, they may be interested in doing some consulting work. I know when I left my job at NDDH, we hired a consultant through a smaller firm. He's not available right now, but to basically do the job that I was doing. The parts that I couldn't do, that I wasn't doing after work, just to pay payroll and just to do small little items. Paula is here. Paula is extremely reliable. She's a huge asset to the town, and it's I feel more comfortable leaving when I know that somebody like her is in that office with so many years of knowledge and organizational skills. All the questions that people might have come to ask me, they'll ask her, and I guarantee she's going to have an answer. Thank you, guys.
Anything else?
I just want to say been a pleasure working with you. I've only been on the board like 4 years, but it's been a pleasure. Every time I had a question, you put right back to me, and even things that I needed for meetings that I was working late or whatever, you always work something out where I could go pick it up somewhere, or I appreciate it, everything you've
You're
done.
very welcome.
Thank you.
I feel like you've been on the board more than 4 years, Rob.
Me too.
Dog years.
That's
right.
Years. Wow.
Thanks so much for everything, Marla. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for your service to Thompson.
Still gonna be around.
Glad to hear it. So we can move on to Turlock Fund update. Is there anyone who here at the meeting who has anything informative to share about the Turlock Fund update? If not, that's okay, but if there's anything,
Oh, we have a meeting next week.
okay. So not at this time? Okay. All right, we'll move on to new business.
Oh, actually, Melinda
Oh.
put her hand up.
Oh, sorry.
Do you want to share some information?
Go ahead, Melinda.
was going to say, we haven't had a meeting since the last one. We have one scheduled next week and then one after that.
Wonderful. Okay, so that's it for Turtle Fund update, right?
Correct,
I think the meeting after that, Melinda could correct me, it's a public meeting.
that's correct,
That would be important to note. It's
Yeah.
February 7th.
yes. The
Very
first one
seven.
as per the ordinance.
Thank you.
Where is that meeting? Where is it held? Here? Somewhere else?
Do we know where that meeting would be held?
So we haven't determined the time or the location and whether or not it's going to be Zoom or not.
We posted.
Okay.
To be posted.
Not yet.
Yep.
Haven't been decided yet.
To be determined. Anything else on Turtle Fund update? Okay, we'll move on to new business. Status of position of finance director and town treasurer. Obviously, Orla, you touched upon hiring a temp for now. And then there was discussion about CCM and GFOA and Indeed. Is there anything else to cover? Anything else?
I'll look at Amy for that, actually.
Finance director and town treasurer. I mean,
Ideally, that we've had discussion of pursuing revamping the finance director role to include one finance director that oversees both school and town. That's preparing of the budgets on both sides, and then potentially trickling down and just changing the structure slightly underneath that finance director. We would like to, Michelle's been doing some work. Michelle is in the meeting right now virtually. She's our human resources director. She's been doing work trying to create some information to share. We'd like to share with both the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Education, and the Board of Finance, potentially in one tri-board meeting. I looked at the calendar. Obviously, sooner is better than later because we do want to get moving on trying to fill this position. I'm hoping, I'll put it out there, since I know Ken is in the meeting and Suzanne's in the meeting and Melinda's here, that February 3rd potentially could be hybrid. I think we could do it entirely virtually, or hybrid like this. But that seems to be a good date coming up where there's no other meetings in town that are scheduled at that time.
Mark 1 year.
it's February 3rd?
Yes.
February 3rd.
It's a
okay.
Thursday.
And this is to discuss the options and
To discuss
thoughts
the
and ways it
options.
might be reorganized into the whole enchilada.
Right. We had asked Michelle to look up what other towns that have one finance director, that have a board of selectmen, and how that job description is written. She's worked on a potential job description. She's talked to other towns. Madison is one of them. Pros and cons, what's good, what's bad about it. And she's going to put together a whole presentation for the boards
Oh, sounds
so
good.
that we can
Yeah.
decide which direction we might want to go in.
And we're thinking, sorry if that's already been mentioned, but were we thinking 7 PM for this?
So I
board?
would think 7 PM.
February 3rd, 7 PM.
Of course, we have to I'm hoping the Board of Ed is agreeable to that date.
Yeah, I mean, I'll put it on my calendar for now. Okay. February 3rd. So anything else on this topic for now? Status of position, finance director and town treasurer? Anything else to add at this time?
Actually, there is one thing.
Go ahead.
So
Yeah. Can you come closer so
I
that the
will,
Zoom?
I'll move my seats again.
Mhm.
So one of the concerns I had when I gave my notice, I expressed it with Amy, was with regards to the treasurer position. So as you know, my role is both finance director and treasurer. And because it's an appointed role, and we're required by statute to have a town treasurer, we reached out to the attorney. I actually don't have the backup with me. But the bottom line is, what we asked him was, if we have a situation where we don't have somebody permanent as a treasurer, who can we appoint? So Amy cannot be appointed, nor can anybody on the Board of Selectmen. But the chair of the Board of Finance can be appointed as a treasurer or a deputy treasurer. Now, because I live in the town of Thompson, I can still serve as a treasurer. I don't have to carry out the duties, but I can still serve as a treasurer until such time as you have a treasurer. But I can appoint a deputy treasurer. So if we can do so at the meeting today, I'd like to appoint Aaron as deputy treasurer if you're willing to accept that role.
And it doesn't have to be the chair.
Oh, that's right, it doesn't have to
It
be the
just-
chair.
it
I'm
just-
sorry, I forgot to
The
bring.
chair
the
is an
paperwork.
option. It could be vice chair, it could be a member of the Board of Finance. It just can't be a paid position, which is why the selectmen are
Right.
out, because they receive a stipend. But, and you can stay on as treasurer.
Yeah, I just.
You just won't be a day-to-day
I just won't
potentially.
be a day-to-day treasurer. I mean, I don't have to do anything because I can appoint, by appointing a deputy treasurer, that person can carry out that task. There isn't a huge amount involved in it. For example, I don't sign any of the checks. That's the responsibility of the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Ed are signed by the chairman of the Board of Ed and the superintendent. It's really more of an oversight. That's where their signature is required. My office prepares and carries out the duties of the treasurer, not just me. My financial clerk does a lot of the duties of the treasurer as well, and she will continue to do that, which includes both reconciling accounts and other duties required by the treasurer. But I guess I should ask first to Aaron, and apologies, I'm just
No, no
throwing this
worries.
at you now. Is that something you would be willing to accept?
Well, so I guess ultimately I'd be willing to accept. I just have logistical questions.
Correct.
The first being, now you're currently the finance director and treasurer of the town of Thompson.
Correct.
And so have you already submitted your resignation from both of those duties?
I think it was just finance director.
Good. So that means if you haven't resigned from treasurer, that means you would continue to be the treasurer after you're no longer the finance director. I would think that's the case if you
Yes,
haven't,
because
if you
I'm
haven't
continuing
specifically.
to live in Thompson.
That's right. If you haven't specifically resigned from treasurer, then that means you would continue to be that. And then, so my sort of second logistical question is a treasurer authorized to appoint a deputy treasurer
Yes.
by that person's self, or does that person need authorization from some governing body?
No,
So meaning, would you require authorization, approval from the Board of Selectmen, or are you able to just name a deputy treasurer by yourself?
I can name the deputy treasurer.
Okay.
The other thing that's in our ordinance is that the finance director carries out the duties, is also appointed. Finance director is appointed the town treasurer, but because you don't have a permanent finance director, you're not appointing a treasurer at this time. And I think because although we don't have a deputy treasurer within the parameters of the Connecticut state statute, we can appoint one. And I'm just repeating what you just said, but
Yeah.
it can be appointed by the treasurer.
In fact, that's the only means,
That's the only
unless
means.
for some reason you
If I was no longer
available at all.
then it would be a completely different situation.
Then it would be appointing of a treasurer,
Correct.
finance director. But anyways, yeah.
And so then I guess just to clarify, you'll be joining the finance team in Norwich, but you'll still be technically quote unquote available as treasurer until such, or at least until sometime in the future.
That is
Whether
correct.
it's the time that we find a permanent treasurer replacement that would be combined with a finance director, or if some circumstance in your new occupation were to occupy you to the point where you're no longer able to fulfill the role of treasurer, then you'd have to say, look, I have to step away from this as well.
Correct.
But
And
until either of such times, you will remain the treasurer as based on the way that you were hired, 7.5 years?
Correct. That is correct.
And-
And I'm not going to be the treasurer in the city of Norwich.
Right.
They have an elected treasurer, so they actually have their own treasurer's office.
Got it. And I just forgot to sort of finish my sentence, that you will be quote unquote available. And obviously the definition of available, we still need to sort of sort out what that looks like. But because you're a resident of Thompson, and because your new duties in Norwich will have you occupied 40 hours a week, but you'll be able to be here to support and assist and discuss and all those other things after hours and evenings, just like we are here, that sort of constitutes available, if you will.
Yes, that is correct. I'm
Got
happy to do that.
So then I would say, if you are thinking of appointing me as deputy treasurer, then I would accept. I wouldn't decline that, because obviously with you departing, we need someone to fulfill the role of deputy treasurer. So I would accept it.
So, I can't make a motion.
Well,
How do we do
great.
this?
Well, but if it doesn't require,
We don't make- Appointing you.
then
Okay.
what I would request is that you please put it in writing.
Okay. I will do
And
so.
could you do me a favor, and can we check with town attorney to find out what statute authorizes you to do this?
Correct. We have this, we have the information.
So then when you put it in writing,
In our conversation with them?
so when you, please do me a favor, when you put it in writing, please say, by the authority invested in me, according to Connecticut statute, I am now appointing Aaron McGarry to be deputy treasurer until such time that the town finds a new permanent finance director and treasurer. So at least that way it's very clear where the authority is coming from. It's coming from a certain state statute that, and therefore your action is compliant with the authority that's been granted.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's clear and in writing.
Okay, I appreciate that. Apologies. There's
No,
so
no
much
worries.
going on right now. I just-
No worries.
overlooked that one. So,
No, it's
thank
fine.
you.
You might stay seated because, was there anything else on status of the position of finance director and town treasurer? Anything else?
No.
So move on to discussion of 2023 Board of Finance budget request. I don't know if you have any suggestions for us based on, because I mean, this is what our page looked like for FY '22.
So your page is not going to look like that.
Okay, but I mean, obviously, it's not gonna look at this in the software, but I'm just saying, these are the numbers that we had. If you have any thoughts in terms of maybe where we would land on some of these line items in FY '23 and what we should sort of keep in mind because of course, we are a line item, we are a department in the budget. It'd be helpful if you have any thoughts about numbers that we should be looking
I
at.
will share that information with you.
I believe that's what the purpose of
Oh, it is.
discussion
Okay,
FY
in that case,
2023 budget, Board of Finance budget request is?
can I just take a look at your budget then?
Yeah, Board of Finance budget request.
For the Board of Finance, this department, you mean?
That's
itself
how
as
it's
the
done.
cover- oh,
Sorry,
okay, all
I
right,
forgot
yeah.
that was on the agenda.
Exactly, because it is, it's under new business, and so we are a department within the budget, so it's probably a good idea for us to get some coaching from the finance director,
So with
based on
regard-
what we've done this past year, what our next year should look like.
Sure. So with regards to finance and accounting, it's per the contract, and I'll share that information with you. So I believe it's a small increase in year two. The legal Board of Finance, it's a nominal fee of 500. I think we've only used it once in the last 5 years. So you may want to leave it at 500 or reduce it down to $100 if you have a placeholder. On the advertising, it's steady Eddie at around $300 or $400. You may want to leave it the same. And the printing and publication is the annual report. We've actually have not incurred as big of an expense as 1,200 in a couple of years because we don't produce as many copies as we used to. So you could probably bring that down to about $700. And on the office supplies, again, it's a line item. I would leave that the same. I'm gonna give you your book back so you can write your notes in.
One other question.
Okay.
before-
Go ahead,
you
Rob.
Skip the top line,
Oh,
which
on
is
the
out,
secretary-
actually, which is outpacing year to date. So
On the secretary for the Board of Finance, I think it's going to depend on whether you as a board wish to request anything different than what has been proposed as of last year. With regards to salaries outside the union contract, usually it comes down to the Board of Selectmen will review that process and they'll make some recommendations and then it will go to rise as Board of Finance with regards to recommendations for non-union employees. If you wish to make any other recommendation besides that, then this would be the time that you would make that recommendation and pass it off to the Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen.
Rob, the Board of Selectmen usually addresses the secretaries for all the departments sort of together, like to evaluate what might be appropriate. Not, but if circumstances have changed a lot for one department, we need to raise our hands and let Amy know.
And a number of years ago, you did make some changes to that and to
Yep.
reflect the number of budget meetings that you had.
Great.
Good.
Anything else on this line item? Discussion 2023 Board of Finance budget request. Anything else?
Dottie,
Okay.
were you able to get those numbers that I recommended?
Sorry, muted.
I have a snapshot, where I can send that to you.
Thank you.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah, great. Okay, great. We good?
Thank you.
Well, so anything else on this item? Okay, we'll move on to, it might be Orla that you come back to us again. Whole business status of 20 to 21 audit. I know you kind of discussed in general terms some of the audit, but maybe not as much as you had it. If we were to ask that question in isolation, is there anything else that you can tell us about the status of the
No,
audit?
there isn't really. I don't think there's going to be. I'm not aware of anything on a management letter. My biggest challenge is trying to get that. I can't think of anything specific. Amy, are you aware of anything that was shared with you? No. I don't know on the Board of Ed side. But hopefully we'll have Chris here in 4 weeks. And before I leave, I'm hoping to have a draft report that I provide to you, so you have it at least 2 weeks in advance.
And so in terms of filing, I know that's sort of a big date, when we file our audit, what with the state?
So so what date are we now, the 20th? I'm hoping we'll file by the 31st.
Okay.
Usually the turnaround is about 5 days.
Okay.
So hopefully I'll get some answers from Marshall tomorrow.
You need another extension, is that possible, or?
Oh,
is there
yeah.
ultimate deadline? Okay.
It's interesting, we did file the extension for January. The amount of towns that have been filing
Really?
extensions, it used to be pretty unique, but since COVID,
Oh, yeah,
everybody's situations have changed.
yeah, that makes sense.
Not unusual, but you were about to say something?
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, Amy St. Ange, you probably would have filed an extension already if Marshall or Chris had thought, the auditors had thought that
Yeah,
you'd
they
need
would have
one.
been in
So
touch
that's,
with me
to me,
already.
that is probably a good sign.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
I just was surprised I haven't heard from them since Monday, so, but, they're probably busy with other towns that have also filed extensions,
Sure,
so.
makes sense.
But he knows that Chris and Marshall, who are the two people that we talk with most at the firm, are aware when my last day is, and they're aware that we will be completing that audit before I go. So, and I also shared with Chris that I will be there when he does.
Fantastic. Questions, comments, discussion? Anything on the 2020 to 2021 audit? Anything? Thank you so much, Orla.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, we move on to Board of Finance member comments. Any Board of Finance member comments at this time?
Reiterate, the classes were, I think, very helpful. They talked about budgeting, they talked about meetings, they talked about FOIA and a number of other things. We talked about the budgeting, did mention that for his particular town, they post their budget online down to the point where they show every employee their salary and their overtime. So there's, it really provides transparency for all those kinds of questions and issues and complaints on some occasions. So there, he really talked about transparency, at least to me, I thought he talked a lot about transparency. Those thoughts I thought would be good for our town as well. So that kind of transparency would be helpful. That was one interesting comment that I thought I'd pass on.
Orla was saying that the new software or whatever that's coming in is going to be very interactive. I think at some point, we'll all probably have tablets or something. It'll be easier than having, photocopies. I think we're going to get to a point, especially if it's going to be interactive like that, where you can actually look at it and maybe even have your own copy that you can change things and try to make suggestions on your own prior to meetings. It might be very, very helpful.
Well, what I was going to suggest I do is set up logins for all of you guys to go ahead and there'll be certain restrictions and limitations and user authorizations like anything. You can't go changing a 5 to a 5,000. But at least you'll have the opportunity to go in and create your own scenarios if you wish. So yeah, it will be great. The end book, principal book, and both the digital and principal book are so professional looking. You know, it's, you have the ability to create some narratives and, you know, it's like any database. Once it's created right, so user friendly.
So I realized that I may have erred because, Paul, I wasn't sure if you wanted to, had any kind of official report you wanted to share with us?
Didn't have anything officially planned.
Okay.
I was here for questions.
Okay.
But I can say that this was a very good year. We had $34,278,000 worth of assessment growth. So from an assessment standpoint, this was a very good year for the town.
Glad to hear it.
What sort of percentage increase in funding?
4.7.
That's pretty good. 4.7% increase? Yeah, that's fantastic. Any other Board of Finance? So my apologies, I just kind of zipped right down. I was just looking at the agenda and just in case you had anything official you wanted to present, I would have asked the board to make a motion to go back up into the agenda so that we could get into it. But if you're good with, I mean, 4.7, that's a pretty good number to finish the night off.
So we provided a copy of the detailed breakdown of the
Yes.
grand list. If anyone has any questions, comments, then feel free to give me a call at any time. Go over it.
Did we all get that by email?
Yes.
Because I did. I did. Great. Any other Board of Finance member comments? Anything else? Okay, motion to adjourn? Okay, so Larry's got the motion. Is there a second? Rob Mann's got the second. All in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? This one carries 5-0. My cell phone says it's now 8:09 PM. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.